4 minutes before we start the presentation and beam in with Subic and Baguio. If you're up the very back, can I get you to just migrate down more towards the middle than you are at the back? That'd be great, thank you. And if you're sitting down, just why don't you stand up, stretch a little bit, and we'll be starting in a few minutes. Thanks. Thank you. I would have forgotten that one. Thanks, Amy. Okay, we've reached 10:30 and we're now beaming in live with Subic and Baguio. So welcome to Brent Subic and welcome to Brent Baguio, joining Brent Manila. Please give a round of applause from Manila to our other campus, they can hear you. We're excited to have you all together. So my name is John Wally. I think everybody knows that. I'm the Director for Academic Affairs and also one of the two assistant upper school principals at Brent International School, Manila. So what I would like you to do is to grab your phone. We're going to start with a couple of quick questions, and I will just see if I can get this started. Can you go with that QR code there? There we go. So what I'd like you to do is to share where you went on your vacation. And you're just going to put a dot on the map there. Hopefully. There we go. If you're a geography teacher, please stay calm. I appreciate that a gigantic blob like that is quite alarming and for you. Eric, if you can just grab hold of David Sharm there, please just keep him secured and comfortable. And if you're a TOK teacher, you're probably smiling right now because you've just answered the question whether a dot has any size. So apparently it does. Maybe this is data privacy that we can't actually reveal where you actually were, so therefore we've got this gigantic blob. Okay, can you turn to the person next to you and just tell them about where you went on your vacation? I am a little concerned about the location of some of those blobs. Some seem to be out in the Pacific Ocean or Greenland or... Okay, one more question for you, and we're going to look at your Brent age. Now, I've made up this statistic, okay? So for your Brent age is how long you've been in Brent, but it's not just you, it's actually your family, your kids, perhaps your grandparents. So if you can calculate that, so you might need your calculator. Don't get rid of the Menti or Mentimeter. So you can count yourself, your spouse, your children, siblings, parents, grandparents, grandchildren. We'll stop the effort there. No uncles, aunties, titas, titos, cousins. Okay? Can you calculate how connected you are in terms of your age? That's the same QR code, but if you can use the slider to indicate what your age is. Who is between 0 and 50? Do we have anyone between 51 and 100? Do we have anybody above 100? Wow. Those who are above 100, can you yell out what you've got there? 405? Wow. This is the number of years that you've been at Brent, either worked at Brent or studied at Brent. 109? Yeah, I've got 132, so because that's my wife. So, but wow, it says something about how connected and how much our families have actually invested in Brent School. So when the Wally family is not done yet though, our son Martin and his wife Victoria have just given birth, so now we're grandparents. So it's now Papa John and Mama Mia. So we're very proud of that. So Brent International School, we have 3 campuses. We share a common vision and curriculum. So our campuses, Subic, Baguio, and Manila. We're all part of a wider team, and we try and provide opportunities for you to work together, both virtually and to meet together as part of our curriculum summit, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. We also provide professional development opportunity for all 3 campuses. So last year and the year before, we had a guy called Jeff Utek come and led us in terms of AI. Our last one was particularly focused on custom AI bots. And I believe that our school has actually become a leader now in international schools with that, with a number of teachers, and we'll hear a little bit more about that later on, that are actually creating AI bots and are serving our community with those. I also believe that Brent holds the record for the largest attended ECOS weekend workshops. So our last 2 have been over 100, which is really way out there. So we've also had workshops with map testing last year, and we had a workshop with supporting coaches. So these are great opportunities. When they do present themselves, please do sign up and come and join us. This particular year, we're going to have some, and I'll talk about those in just a minute. I'll just highlight Miss Elsie and Miss Wren. They're not here in the theatre right now, but they work not just for Brent Manila, but for all 3 campuses, and just do a wonderful job of supporting us and handling all of our PD. This particular year, we're going to have a workshop with a guy called Paul Coleman. Paul was here 28 years ago. He visited Brent at the Pasig campus and was a huge hit with our students. We took him down to the Hard Rock Cafe where he also performed, and we had a stream of teachers go down. So we rocked on there for, I think, for the princely sum of 2 hamburgers and 2 Cokes, which is what we actually, Paul was paid for performing there. But he was just fantastic. After he sang at Brent, he was nominated, he and his band, for a Grammy Award. And so he's quite popular. So just to give you a sample of his music, and I should mention before we do that, his workshop here is going to be supporting VPA students. So helping us to be working with them to try and provide opportunities for them, so to nurture their talent. Paul is particularly talented in music production, in performing, and also music writing. But the principles will go across all VPA. So if you have an interest in that, please do join in. We hope he will also work with our students and maybe even give a concert at Subic and Baguio as well as at Manila. So.
Sometimes you gotta run into the odds of danger. Sometimes you gotta be the sacrifice.
that something to be excited about. Paul will be fantastic, and you'll love him when he comes. We've also got another workshop with a guy called Dr. Rolly Marquez. Rolly is coming, we'll be working with AI, but particularly to support our accreditation with WASC. So please, once again, join in. So Paul is in January, and Rolly is February 21 to 22. So these are both excellent people. If you are interested in any type of PD in the Manila campus, this is how it works. I imagine it's probably very similar at Subic and Baguio. So you will fill out an application form. You'll submit the application form to your head of department, which then goes to the principal, and then it arrives in the academic affairs office. The actual approval is based on budget, and also it depends on how well that supports both your personal professional growth and also the goals of the school. So we're also an AirCOS school. So the AirCOS organisation have an office on our campus. They provide great PD opportunities either through weekend workshops or through a teacher conference. So each year there are different strands. So you can see the strands which are there from literacy, early childhood, special needs, modern languages, and so forth. So great opportunities. Each year we send a few teachers to that. We also have a AirCOS teacher rep at each campus. Camille, can I ask you to stand? Camille, thank you for all that you do. You are wonderful, so we appreciate that. If you've got any questions about AirCOS, please see her. Thank you. She liaises with the office and will keep us up to date with what's going on with AirCOS. Okay, we run a 6-year curriculum cycle. In each particular year, we have responsibilities for each department. You can see that there's a table there indicating which part of the curriculum cycle your department is in. It's important that we do line ourselves with that, because each year you'll have some curriculum writing responsibilities, and we don't want to either be behind and we also don't want to perhaps take over the curriculum writing responsibilities of another department. So this particular year, you need to know that your curriculum cycle starts in year 1, so that's your review. Review is year 1, year 2, year 3. Implementation is year 4. So therefore, we don't start with new textbooks in year 2 or year 1. It starts in year 4. So for this particular year, it's English, Religious Studies and Junior Seminar. This is your think tank year, opportunity to think big. What does a good education look like in English or Religious Studies? You also have the opportunity to participate in a book study. And so that will give you the ability to just dig deeper in terms of your particular subject area. If you're in year 2, that's science and health PE this year. So this is where you're actually deciding this is what our curriculum is going to look like. And you might start to write those. You'll also participate in a curriculum summit. And this has been a big feature of our school over the last few years, where when you're in year 2 of the curriculum cycle, so as I mentioned, that's science, PE, health, and you will have the opportunity to travel. Now, we went to Baguio last year, which was just fantastic. It was my first time in 30 years to get to the Baguio campus, but I was just amazed. So when you sing that Brent School song, that is your Brent School song, and you realise how special a campus that actually is. So there's a special reflection room there. You'll see a desk in the front, which I believe, was that Bishop Brent's desk, Mr. Josephson? It could have been, and I believe it was commandeered by General Yamashita, is that correct? During World War II, and then it was commandeered by a Brent student, yes, who was suspended for engraving their name in this historic desk. But it's just a beautiful place, but it's an opportunity to work together with other people from the other campuses. All the buildings, or a lot of the buildings, are named after somebody. You'll get to stay in the beautiful Brent guest house there, and you don't have to be part of a curriculum summit to go stay there, but it's not free, you need to book, but it's a magnificent place, so we can give you those contact details if you're interested. The campus itself is on a hill, amazing. Dr. Celeste Engler, she was giving me a tour of the campus. And I noticed these signs. You'll see there's a statue of Bishop Brent just in the woods there, just like we have one in the South Campus. And you'll see that many of the buildings are named after somebody. And so I asked Dr. Celeste, I said, Mr. Robbins was involved with Brent for so many years. Surely you're going to have a building named after Mr. Robbins. And she said, well, I don't think he's very enthusiastic about that. And I asked, why is that? And she said, well, you have to die first. So apparently it's written into the board, the rules of the campus, that you've got to die before you have something named after you. So yeah, he's not very excited about that. So at the end of the, so you'll leave here on a Friday for each of the campuses. You'll go up there, stay Friday night. You'll then have the opportunity to work on Saturday. And then Saturday night, we had a bonfire. Brandon, you're the bonfire master there. So yeah, just great times. So we're also looking at doing this for not only the departments in the second year of the curriculum cycle, but also the fifth year. So we're going to be doing that, and both will be in Baguio. So the fifth year is ICT, and perhaps some other groups, IB coordinators, perhaps guidance. So we want this to be have everybody have an opportunity to visit our other campuses, and both are special, but the Baguio one is that's our heritage. So in year three, that's mathematics this year. So if you're in year three, the curriculum cycle, you're starting to write your curriculum. And that's where you actually purchase your textbooks. And that's by November 1. So any orders that you might have, you've got to get those in the next couple of months. So talk to your department head if you have a particular need. Our units are written according to UBD, which starts by identifying desired outcomes and then working backwards to develop instruction and assessments. We have 4 people now who are in the Manila campus that are involved and leading us through that process. So if I can just ask you to stand. So Tammy Burke, Leah Holiday, Caitlin Thompson, can you just stand very briefly? And also Jessie Sutubal. Jessie, where are you? Can you stand up? Thank you for joining the team, Jessie. So it's really important to stay the course with UBD. It's an investment. And at the end of it, we get a really good product. And we also get a consistent approach across the subjects. Otherwise, we have one subject designing units according to one way and another subject doing it another way. You might have other ideas or other ways which you've been designing units, but we want to be consistent with that. And this is well reviewed, and it's a great way to be designing units. Okay, year 4, social science, modern language, student services. This is where you start your curriculum, the teaching, and you will probably still be continuing to write units. In year 5, you refine your curriculum, and that's where we've also got our second curriculum summit. And then year 6, you evaluate. So in this year, that's fine arts and ESL. Okay. Map testing, we use map testing. So the first testing session is August 28 to September 15. This is first one is to provide a baseline on student performance, and then the second one will give us an indicator of student growth. Okay, we're sorry for the disruption to your classes with map testing, but it's an important part and data which we value. Brent curriculum is hosted on Atlas Rubicon. Your curriculum is not on your computer. Your curriculum is not in a shared drive. It's on Atlas Rubicon. That's our reference point, and that's where it's documented. We also have curriculum drives, so we use Google. This is where you would share live documents, assessments, teaching materials. You need to be sharing those so that everybody across all campuses have access to those. Okay, finally, the WASC self-study. It only just feels like yesterday we were doing a mid-cycle review and we had a mid-cycle team here, and how quickly that time actually passes. But this is important. We invite WASC, we're a member of WASC, so that they will come to us. We will be asking them to come here. We will evaluate ourselves, where we are now and where we want to be. This is not a compliance task where we're doing it just for the sake of doing it. We're doing it for Brent to serve Brent, to help Brent. This is a process of continuous improvement. The focus of WASC is on high quality learning and well-being for all students. The self-study will identify critical areas for improvement. We use data to assess progress and commit to meaningful, measurable change that will support all students. There's a cycle. So we're on the yellow one now. We're commencing our self-study. There will be a follow-up visit to that. And then there will be a mid-cycle review, which is the blue one. But it's a process which is a cycle, and we're looking to continuously improve. Okay, I want to tell you about just briefly what the parts of our self-study will be. The self-study will start this semester, but the majority of your work will start next semester. Okay, so the first part of the self-study is to look back. What is the progress since our last self-study? Have we actually improved? Have we grown? There's also a community profile where we collect data. So there'll be a number of surveys which will be coming out this semester. We'll be collecting data. And that's where Dr. Rolly Mike Hess is really going to be helpful for us. This is our secret weapon, okay, where we will be leveraging AI to help us analyze that data, where we can ask questions of that. We'll create some AI bots for that, where we can then interrogate AI about where we are, what we're doing. Its primary purpose is not to write our report, but to help us in our analysis. Our self-study, which is going to be next semester, that's where we evaluate the quality of our program in relation to WASC criteria. Everybody is going to be a member of both a focus group, which is interdisciplinary, and also a home group, which is your department which you serve in. Okay, and they will provide information for each other. Once we have all of that, we will identify our critical student learner needs, where we say, based on the data, based on looking back, based on our evaluation with WASC criteria, we'll actually identify and say, we believe that we need to grow in these particular areas. And then we create a school-wide action plan. And the school-wide action plan will have a timeline, and we'll be able to say that these people will be responsible for leading that process. But the whole idea is to make Brent a better school. I believe that what we provide is the premier educational experience for students in the Philippines. To provide well-rounded, academic, great activities program, great teachers, and we have great students. And we want to continue to move forwards in that particular direction. So thank you for your support and for listening. I will hand it over to Mr. Castaneda now, who will talk a little bit about AI. Have a great academic year, and we'll look forward to seeing you in our PD and WASC events. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the new school year. To our friends in Baguio and Subic, hello. Welcome to the live stream. There we go. So I'm here to give you an overview of where we are in our AI journey. Where's Brent and I are here. And after me, we've invited a few of our colleagues to share their experiences in the classroom and their use of AI last school year. So before that, let's get into a kind of tech frame of mind, an AI frame of mind, by answering a few of these questions. I'm not going to use a Mentimeter, so just think about your answer, or if you're feeling up to it, shout out your answer. So the question is, how many years did it take for each of these items, these things, to get to 50 million users? So let's start with airplanes. How many years did you think it took for airplanes to have 50 million users? Maybe when it started, or maybe during commercial flight? Think about that in your mind. Does anyone want to share what they're thinking? Okay, so keep that number in your mind. The actual answer is 68 years. Was it close? Okay, so now let's move to the internet. Internet, I think, was discovered, or no, was invented in the 60s. It became ARPANET in the 80s, but really the World Wide Web started to evolve in the 90s. So how many years did the internet take to get to 50 million users? In your mind, think about it. Do you think? Okay, the answer? 7 years. Okay. Now, Facebook. Facebook, I think, came out in 2004, 2005, maybe 2004. You know, how many years did it take Facebook to get to 50 million users? 1 year, I heard 1 year. Who else? Okay, took Facebook 3 years. So 2005, 2007, or 2004, 2007 became 50 million users. Now let's get to generative AI. ChatGPT came out officially, I think, in November of 2022. How long did it take to get to 50 million users? 1 day. It's a little more than 1 day. 3 months. 5. Somebody said 5. 5 weeks. So with that, we kind of see how AI is developed into a fast, astonishing pace. So at Brent, we've taken steps in developing our AI philosophy. And rooted in that is the definition of AI literacy. So rooted in AI literacy. A shout out to Dr. Petrillo, who has been a big part of developing this. And if you don't mind, I'll read it. AI literacy encompasses the use of artificial intelligence while guided by a comprehensive understanding of its capabilities, limitations, and ethical considerations. It involves critically assessing the output generated by AI systems, recognizing when AI can and should be employed, and discerning the potential consequences, both intended and unintended, of its applications. There's a lot packed in there, and at one point in time, we will share this with the students as well. So, but for the most part, really it's using AI critically and using it responsibly. Now here's a question for you, and let's see how many has done this. How many of you have tried testing ChatGPT by grading student work yourselves first, then putting it into ChatGPT to see if you got the same results? Let's see a show of hands. I've tried this also, so. Okay, so, we have a number of you. Okay, so, and this is a teacher story. A teacher actually shared this to me, that she was trying out ChatGPT. She graded the student work, tried out ChatGPT, and then when she returned it to the student, a parent actually questioned whether the teacher had relied entirely on AI. So this is one of the situations that we will encounter. It could be similar to this, it could be different, it could be something that we have not thought of. But as we journey through AI, and as AI continuously evolves, we will encounter situations where we get questioned. There's an issue that might evolve. So it's important. The response of the teacher was to be transparent and to be intentional. So, I tried to use ChatGPT, compare my feedback to make sure that I wasn't missing anything, but the final assessment is still my own. And if there's a takeaway here, I would like it to be this. This reinforces that AI is a support tool and not a replacement for professional judgment. So we, as teachers, are still the ones at the driver's seat. We are still the ones steering this. It's our voice that's heard. Okay, now that we're moving into the next phase of our journey with AI, it's now time to turn these ideas into action, into practice. So as we begin to explore AI, we encourage teachers, although not required, to explore it in the classroom. If you haven't tried it yet, try it out, see what works, see what doesn't. We've invited speakers last year. We can look at other schools as models, but I feel that it's also important to we experience this ourselves in our classrooms, then start sharing that with each other. And then from there, maybe we can document these practices so we can come up with best practices. Dr. Petrillo last year started afternoon workshop, after-school workshop called Teachers Teaching Teachers. And I'm sure some of you, if not many of you, have already experienced AI in their classrooms to use it as a productivity tool, and others will benefit from that. So without further ado, I'd like to call some of our colleagues who will be sharing with you some of their experiences, I guess, with AI also in their respective subject areas. So in order, we have Andrew Fullo, Kyle Pace, Dr. Michael Baldwin, and Philip Harvey. So thank you for listening, and here's Andrew.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning to Baguio and Subic. You know, since 2022, we've seen the evolution of AI really kind of grow exponentially. And it took a while for ICT, knowing that, of course, being the technology department, we were supposed to provide the support in helping students and teachers with this process. However, of course, it took a while to find our footing when it comes to really laying the foundation and understanding what the Brent AI philosophy should be. So this year, I'm happy to announce that the ICT department will now be integrating AI in the curriculum in terms of explicitly teaching it at 3 grade levels, 3 specific grade levels. So mine will be very short, and it's really introducing students to the AI guidelines and philosophies and the approach of students with regards to effective use of AI as well as the responsible use of AI. Now, ICT aims to explicitly teach in the classroom for about 1 to 2 classes only. These are focused instructions on the expectations of AI in your respective grade levels. So we are setting the expectations at grade 3, beginning of lower school, and how AI should be used from grades 3, 4, and 5. For grade 6, beginning of middle school, and grade 9, beginning of upper school. Why are there gaps, you might ask? And it's because we want to give way to further evolution and changes in, and development in AI technology. So we know that if we teach and if we demonstrate the use of effective and responsible AI to students at grade 3, and basically that's going to evolve, and we're going to have to reteach new methods, of course, and technologies to grade 6, and then later on grade 9. Now the ICT department will be reaching out to a lot of our teachers, to all of you, just to kind of get a better understanding of what you expect our students to, and rather how you want our students to use AI. We don't want to start teaching students different grade levels only to find out that there are certain things that maybe we shouldn't be tackling, or you may have a few reservations. And so we would like to open that discussion throughout the year as we teach and as our AI curriculum evolves. So that is our initiative at the ICT department. Thank you very much.
I have about a million things I could say about AI, and they told me I had 5 minutes. So I have a script, so apologies for it sounding somewhat robotic. My name is Kyle Pace, and I am one of the middle school social science teachers. I've been experimenting with AI a lot since it kind of busted onto the scene, say around like 2022, 2023. And kind of like Andrew said, things are moving at a really incredible pace, and it's kind of difficult to keep up sometimes. Like I said, I don't have a lot of time to go into details. I think some of my colleagues are going to talk a little bit more about what they have been doing. But I really want to talk about what I have been focusing on and kind of my philosophy towards AI and how it's been helping me in the classroom. A lot of us as educators have been really focused on ourselves and how we are using AI in the classroom and how we can build lesson plans and unit plans and help us on a daily basis, which I obviously am doing and have had to do myself. But I am trying to make a conscious shift this year in how my students are using it. I think if we don't allow them to use it in practice, we are doing a disservice to them. And so I want to make sure that they are using it appropriately. One of the biggest questions I would get last year, because I tell them outright, like, I don't ban AI. I don't make it something that they cannot use in my classroom. The question always comes up, can we use AI? Can we use AI? Can we use AI? Can we use AI? And so I wanted to look and see what other institutions were doing to try and solve that problem a little bit. And I came up with a usage continuum for the social science department. I should mention that this is based on some research that I've seen of what they're doing kind of in the States and other international schools. And so I can't take credit for completing this and making it completely out of scratch. But it is something that I am using in my classroom on kind of almost like a daily per assignment basis. And so when they say, Mr. Pace, can we use AI? I'm like, yeah, guys, level 3. And they know exactly what that means. They know how much they can use it. They know what the limitations are. Because I have noticed that they're not attempting to be malicious a lot of the time, I mean, obviously sometimes, but they want to know how to use it and they want to know how to use it correctly. And so you can see here that the guidance that I'm trying to give them is what AI's role is going to be, what the student's role is going to be, what citations look like. And again, this is just for middle school because that is our department for social science in middle school. So I say, grade 6, AI has to be referenced, grade 7 and grade 8, it always has to be referenced and cited. So I just want to make sure that there are very clear expectations on how they use it on a regular basis. I do want to mention too that this is not like a hard and fast Brent policy. As kind of Andrew and Owie were saying, like, this is such a fluid situation, things are changing constantly. And if we have something that is a hard and fast policy, we're just gonna end up changing it the next year anyway. So the way that I have it here is it's editable, it's fluid, you can change it as things move. Other departments can use it as they wish. I'm gonna provide it to everybody as kind of an editable document. So if you wanted to use it in your own classes, please feel free. It's something that I wanna try and use, and you are free to use it as you see fit to create flexibility. I also wanna try to provide the students examples. And so in my classroom, I actually have a poster of this, and this is kind of what I have posted on the back. So just kind of explaining what each of these levels mean to give them kind of an idea. So you can see like level 1, no use of AI, writing a full essay in response to a historical prompt, analyzing a primary or secondary source for meaning or bias, constructing a cause and effect explanation for a historical event. I'll tell them, no AI, you can't do this. Level 2 is more about background knowledge, clarity. They can't copy and paste or rely, but they are able to use it in certain ways. I created my own bots. I call it my sidekick bot, and so I give it to the students. They are allowed to use it, and it actually only pulls information that I want them to access. So if they ask my sidekick bot a certain question about feudal Europe, it will not pull information from random corners of the internet. It only gives them what I want them to see. So they're allowed to use it in that way. Then you can look at level 3. It can be used to organize ideas, draft responses, and revise, but with teacher guidance. So drafting an outline for an essay, getting feedback, rephrasing confusing paragraphs, kind of maybe leveling text in some ways. And then level 4, using it a little bit more, writing first draft or a poster paper, generating dialogue for a historical role play, things like that. Just a couple different more examples if you would like to see them, but again, It's just giving the students a very clear explanation on how and when to use AI, and I think that's the important part. In my experience, when students are given clear, consistent expectations, they tend to use AI more responsibly and more effectively. Most students genuinely want to do the right thing, and they often ask, can we use AI? Not always because they're looking for a shortcut, but because they want to make sure that they're following the rules. This continuum helps answer that question before they even need to ask. It removes the guesswork, encourages honest learning, and ensures that AI becomes a tool for thinking and creating, and not just completing the work for them. With this shared language across our department, I'm hoping that we're setting students up to succeed now while also preparing them to use AI more in the future. Well, that's all I got. Thank you, guys.
Okay, well, it's getting ready to show up. It was very interesting when I was asked to do this, exactly what I wanted to present on. I'd done a lot of things last year with AI, and it seemed like it was so much that I didn't know what to focus on. So what I decided to do was kind of talk about the process that I use and you know, kind of how I use AI and what it can do. Because what I found out is a lot of people say that AI will do this, or it can't do that, or it's good at this. And in most cases, you're right and you're wrong. It's amazing what it can do, and it does a lot of things that we say it can't do. And then some of the things that we think, oh, it'll do that perfectly, it doesn't. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you a workshop that I just developed, that I just used. So when this year started, I had to talk to my department for the first time. I needed to talk to them about curriculum. It was kind of a complex thing, and I wanted to have an activity that was where they did a lot of the thinking, okay? That I had some points I wanted to get across, but I wanted them to be very actively involved in it. So I asked for help, and I want to go through kind of that process and talk about some of the things that were good and were bad, or that, you know, most of it was good, but had to be modified, that where the AI didn't do things perfectly, and why it was really important that I knew what I was doing in order to make it work. So this is AI-assisted planning for science curriculum workshops. This particular workshop was on curriculum. And so what I'm going to do is I kind of have what I did. I asked, by the way, this workshop is designed by AI. I said, okay, you helped me do this. You have all the prompts. You have everything that I did. Please break it down into 5 steps. Kind of summarize the prompts that I used and the results of that. And I was pretty vague because I just kind of wanted to see what would come out. And what AI developed, what ChatGPT did for me, was pretty much what I wanted. I had to make some tweaks, but pretty much this is what happened. So anyway, step 1, I asked it to help me figure out exactly what I wanted to do. I said, this is what I have envisioned for this workshop. You know, I want about 5 steps, or I want these things in the workshop, what would happen? So here's, this is not the exact prompt, but this is kind of a summary of where I started. I'm introducing curriculum writing to the Brent International School science staff. We're using the Aero science standards. I want to include an engaging activity, introduce NGSS, those are the next generation science standards in Aero, and outline our curriculum writing process. And I need to do that in 60 minutes, okay? So I asked ChatGPT to do that. So it was able to develop a structured 60-minute workshop agenda, okay? A logical flow from hook to writing, and time allocations and transitions for my presentation. Now, it didn't happen automatically because I knew what hook I wanted to do. I knew kind of the activity that I wanted to use, but I kind of gave them a little bit of instructions, and it developed this activity for me. So, the next information. I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, social media and all the misinformation that's being spread, and why we really need to have students who can think and make good judgments. So I wanted to start with a little bit about misinformation. And I'd already had one meeting with them where I had some, just kind of some truth or fiction. Is this true or is this trash? Is this a real science thing or not? And when I gave that initial quiz to my staff at the beginning of the school year, they pointed out that I had made a mistake, that there was one of those things that they were, very concerned with. I'll show you that in a minute. So basically, they were concerned that one of my prompts said that lightning only strikes the same place once. Okay, is that truth or trash? What do you think? Thumbs up if it's truth, thumbs down if you think that's trash. Okay, I agree with some of you that it's trash. I know that lightning is usually hits big buildings in big cities multiple times in the same year. But it was pointed out to me that Mariah Carey, an authority on the subject, says that it only strikes a building, only strikes the same place once. And they were very insistent. In fact, through that whole social that we had up at Tagaytay, I was reminded like every 5 minutes how wrong I was on that. So for this workshop, I decided to, find some other song-based science facts and ask if there was truth or trash. So, the interesting thing about that is, can you imagine how long it would take me to find songs and pick them out and do that? So I asked for that, and this is the first few, right? And so basically this is what was generated for me almost instantaneously, right? And now some of these I had to, tweak a little bit, but basically I got 10 really, pretty good ones. And then to make it a little bit better, I went to Google, which has their own AI, and I asked for another list just to make sure if I get some better ones, which I did. So the original, the 10 that I gave the staff, was slightly modified. But this is what's really interesting about this is look at number 1, 2, 3. The moon is made of cheese inspired by Blue Moon. If you listen to the song Blue Moon, it does not mention cheese whatsoever. This is one of those cases where the AI will find like some interesting thing that somebody says and attribute it to something else where they don't really go together. Blue Moon is not a good example of that thing, and it doesn't go along with this whole quiz. So this is something very, very common that AI does. If you know about the Secretary of Health and Safety in the United States, RFK, very famously, he submitted a few reports to explaining about something he's really concerned with, vaccines, and many of the citations he used had papers that did not support the conclusion that he was presenting. And several of those reports, the national government of the United States that's presented, have citations that may have, the article might even be true, but what the article says is not what the paper says. And so it's very clear that he used AI to generate these reports to kind of support claims that he believes to be true. So AI will do this. It will write something that sounds very credible, but the information that it's based on might not match, might not be true. So you have to be careful, even in something like this. So I thought that was kind of a nice example. So I did this. This was done really very, very quickly. Then my next thing is I wanted to do a case study. And I wanted us to look at these grapes. Have anybody ever tried these grapes? If you go to the supermarket here, you can get these. They're huge. They're beautiful. It took the country of Japan 33 years to develop these grapes. They were developed by scientists in Japan. They kept this process secret, that you can't take these grapes anywhere else, although they've been stolen, and they grow them now in Korea, and they grow them in China. And one of the cheapest places in the world to buy these grapes is right here in the Philippines. I don't know why exactly, but I think it's because they're imported from China, and they get them at they've got them down to a fairly good price. But anyway, what do you think? Thumbs up. Do you think these are GMO or not? Most of my science department said probably GMO. They're rather recently developed. It took them 33 years. Scientists did it. It's probably GMO. Actually, no. Actually, no. And so in the process I want to take the teachers through is this idea that we don't know a lot of stuff. A lot of, and we have ideas that aren't exactly right. They're not backed up by science. And it's so easy to take something like this and make it into something false. It would be so easy for an influencer to say, look at these grapes. They were developed by scientists. It took them 33 years. It's a secret process. These are GMO developed and they're dangerous, which would be totally false. But most of us would probably think, well, it could be true, okay? It's so easy to take things and make them into misinformation. And students need to all of us, we need to be able to make good decisions. So I had I had AI make this into a lesson. I thought it worked out very, very well. I thought I made my point, and it was a lot of fun. So the outputs were discussion prompts, a paper to do this on. It made an infographic for me to hand out that had the facts on it. And I had the teachers do a challenge to develop what an influencer might say about these. So all that was developed by AI with guidance from me and quite a bit of back and forth. And then we looked at the standards, and I had us look at one of the standards. We had outputs like this, a 3D model overview. NGS says perform base expectations, arrow alignment, and adaptability. Some of the barriers to using these standards, all that was done. And this is an example of, I asked it to write me 10 things that make using these new standards difficult. So these are the last 5 of those that was produced by AI. Notice how nice this is. I didn't ask it to do this exactly like this, but this is the format that it came up with, which I thought was beautiful because it gives increased cognitive demand on students and gave an explanation. If I was to do that, imagine how long it would have taken me to put that together. Of course, I had to review it, and the interesting thing, the thing that I think makes using these new standards the most difficult is number 10. The standard language is dense and not always intuitive. NGSS performance expectations often use complex phrasing and assume familiarity with the 3 dimensions of learning. Students and parents may struggle to unpack what they are actually expected to know and do. Okay? That's, by the way, the AI did not generate that one. I had to tell it. So AI can give you a really good list, but I think it left off the most important one. So that's where, knowing what you want to do, knowing what you want to get out of it is really, really important. But it certainly helped with the formatting, and, a lot of this I couldn't have done. I did this from when I got back in the summer to the meeting that we had just a few days ago. So the AI was able to help me generate a presentation like this very, very quickly. And I just want to kind of go to these are the outputs that I got from this. I got printable handouts, I got a slide presentation, ready to use Google Docs and Word files. The really nice thing about this is I would get a draft, and then it would say, Dr. Baldwin, do you want this in a Google Doc, or do you want this in a Word doc? It doesn't do Google Docs very well, but if I said Word doc, I would get a really nicely formatted worksheet. So it was able to produce those for me. So anyway, my conclusion is AI doesn't replace a teacher's vision, but it does accelerate it. I can guarantee that. Rapid content generation, instant formatting, flexible and responsive to planning needs. That's what I would like to say about AI. It's not, you just can't ask it to do everything for you. You have to have a vision, a lot of checks and balances, make sure you have a process, but it can produce really amazing products for you.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Zubik. Hey, Baguio. Hope you're having a good day up there. So a lot of you know me. I'm pretty talkative. My name's Phil. I'm in the English department. English. And I wanted to say that first off, I really loved all the other presentations we had today from the AI team, especially Mr. Pace's guide to AI, like steps for using it. I think I'm just going to straight up steal that. It's also nice to see people like Dr. Baldwin doing something similar to what I was doing, and also to see that we have Mr. Fulo integrating AI into the curriculum. So today, I want to give you a little chat about chatbots. So, why is this so short? Hello? There we go. There we go. So I went to the Jeff Utrecht conference last year or so, and he talked a lot about designing your own chatbot. And that got me to thinking. A lot of the talk we've had today has been about, you know, AI can help us come up with ideas faster. It can do things pretty good, but not perfectly. But the best thing it should do is not replace your own brain. It should be a thought partner. And with that in mind, I remembered one of my biggest problems as a teacher, which is students would come to me and say, Mr. Harvey, The Tempest is really hard. Shakespeare is very challenging to read, and I'm having trouble finding what someone said at this part of the play. I'm like, cool. It's English from 500 years ago. That's understandable. So my goal here was to create an AI bot that was to help you understand The Tempest and help guide you through forming your own thesis statements and ideas. And if you guys went to the workshop last year, you might recognize this. It's Jeff Utrecht's slides, the design thinking model. And so what it does is, more or less, you think about the end user, you define the terms that you define the bot. You think about it very carefully. What will this bot do? You make ideas, you prototype, test it, and then finally implement it. Now, and so what does that look like for me, at least? Empathizing is just thinking about students who are trying to read Shakespeare, perhaps for like the second time in their lives, and it was just what common tasks or challenges do they face? And so I would say students forget sections, broad themes, or ideas from a text, and an AI bot could help them by being, typo, acting as a textual expert to prompt their understanding or point out things they have missed. And then I'd have to think, okay, so cool, that's what I want it to do. How does it do that already? How do students do that in the now? Currently, students either ask the teachers, me, or laboriously refer to the text in a haphazard manner because they are unsure where the reference they need lives, i.e., they have a great idea, they want to make an argument, but, dang it, is it an Act 4 or is it an Act 2, right? And how could the AI bot help them meet their needs? It would be an expert who would be able to say, that's a good question. You can check page X. And much like Mr. Pace's chatbot, it is designed and programmed to not pull anything from the internet, but only on resources that I gave to the students, specifically an annotated copy of The Tempest and The Tempest with modern-day translations. So that's the first step, and you might notice where I kind of stepped away from the process already. I did the first step of define, but I didn't continue on. So follow these steps. Go with empathize, define, and for me, this was enough. I just knew what persona I wanted it to have, i.e. how it would, its personality, if you will, how it would talk to the students. I didn't want it to be too stilted or academic, but I also wanted it to keep that level of rigor. And these empty two boxes just kind of came to me naturally. I knew how I wanted to do it. So I just started programming the bot. And then the rest of these are just straight up copies from Jeff Utrecht's slides. But the ultimate just right bot, the end goal I wanted for my bot is right down here. It would answer questions about The Tempest, help students identify themes and binary oppositions in the text, and translate the words into modern English. Especially for our ESL learners in upper school, Shakespeare is a challenging thing to approach, so I wanted to make that easier for them. Now, I wonder if I can look under the hood of my chatbot. I have forgotten how to do that, unfortunately. Anyway, so this is the chatbot, and this is what I ended up making, and this was not the first, this is the final version, but the first version I actually gave out to a group of students to prototype. I asked them, hey, try to break this chatbot. Because students are clever, as Dr. Petrilla said earlier in the conduct card meeting, they will figure out ways to do things. And one of the big ones that for some reason I didn't think of is this very simple question. Let me see if I can embiggen my screen. If you see I've written the question, can you summarize the play for me? Now hopefully the Wi-Fi will. And so that was one of the things, this is one of the inputs I got from students, that they were able to get the chatbot to summarize the play. They were able to get it to write an essay for them. And so after receiving that input from the students, I went back and added some more information, added some more prompts into the chatbot in order to make it not do that. And then I sent it out again for more user testing, i.e. users, i.e. 10th graders. And they tried to break it again, but with about 3 passes, it came out to the final project, which I released to all my students. My students absolutely loved this thing, and they were able to find, using it, they were able to find more specific citations. They were able to have help crafting their thesis statements more accurately. It would not write thesis statements for them, but it would help them give feedback on their thesis statements and evaluate them. And so, ultimately, what the chatbot experience I had here was design it with intentionality and think about the end user. Not you who made it, which took me a minute to step into their shoes, but the people who will use it. So you can make chatbots for your colleagues, you can make chatbots for students, but try to have only one audience in mind when you're making a chatbot. And I think I'm going to close with just saying that also you can put what's called in video games Easter eggs into your chatbots for students to find if they want to do something fun. So let me see. So this is a little Easter egg I put into my chatbot just in case students asked random questions. What is Mr. Harvey's favorite color? Now, this is one I know they could find it, but the chatbot will give them a haiku. So it's not all about, this is a completely focused chatbot. It's actually kind of breaking its own rules right now because it's supposed to give them a haiku and then point them back to the Tempest. And that's one more thing to remember. The ideal bot doesn't exist. Close enough is good enough. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you to our presenters today. Thank you to Subic, thank you to Baguio, thank you Manila. Appreciate your being such a great group this morning to work with. We're going to break off in departments just for a very short time. Lunch is at 12 o'clock. And so HODs, please keep it fairly brief, but do touch base on your tasks in the curriculum cycle, knowing that our heavy lifting is going to be this semester, because next semester we'll be pivoting and working on our WASC criteria in focus groups and our home groups. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day and a great academic year.